Teachers are frequently challenged with their students' behavior. Occasionally, such conduct irritates a teacher instructing a large, diversely abled class. Occasionally, the behavior of some students temporarily disturbs the usual running of the classroom or school. However, teachers may also be confronted with behavior that hinders their capacity to educate a child or his or her friends. In addition, teachers are increasingly confronted by behavior linked with a disability or where the child's social norms diverge from their own. In the literature on the management of challenging behavior, there is a widespread agreement that the encouragement of positive behavior must come first. Historically, school behavior standards were frequently defined by what was unacceptable, and disciplinary techniques centered on the consequences available to enforce regulations and penalize inappropriate conduct. In many primary schools, this method has been supplemented with an active promotion of positive behavior, which teaches students clearly the acceptable behavior in the school context and reinforces positive behavior when it occurs. However, there will always be a percentage of children in every school whose behavior defies the standards expected for their age or level of development and poses a challenge to teachers. This presentation aims to provide teachers with suggestions on how to develop effective mechanisms for fostering positive behavior, as well as how to address behavior that severely impedes the educational success of particular students. It also aims to direct teachers' responses to varied behaviors in a manner that will replace them with more acceptable ones. It may be especially useful for freshly certified teachers who frequently find behavior control to be the most difficult aspect of their jobs. It may also be useful for school personnel who seek to encourage dialogue and collaboration on the topic of behavior. What is difficult behavior? There is no widely accepted definition of disruptive behavior. Behavior is characterized as acceptable or unacceptable in a social context and is also influenced by the larger environment in which individuals interact. In general, teachers accept that challenging behavior in the school context encompasses behavior that interferes with the pupil's own and or other pupils' learning, challenges the day-to-day functioning of the school, challenges the right of staff and pupils to a safe and orderly environment, has a duration, frequency, intensity, or persistence that exceeds the normal range of what schools tolerate, and is less likely to respond to the usual disciplinary measures. Which contexts are conducive to challenging behavior? There are causes for the challenging behavior of children. Consequently, determining why they do it can be the key to resolving the issues caused by the behavior. This analysis must take into account both the behavior and the environment in which it occurs. Children with communication challenges are susceptible to engaging in demanding behavior. If a youngster is unable to communicate their needs or desires due to a lack of comprehension or language skills, they may resort to improper behavior. In such situations, educating a child to communicate their demands in an acceptable manner may be part of the solution. Intensive early intervention by a speech-language pathologist will be of great benefit to these youngsters. The condition may be exacerbated by environmental variables. Children may have adverse reactions to noise, heat, cold, and intrusion into their area. Some children, especially those with autism spectrum disorders, may be overly sensitive to a certain stimuli, such as noise, and as a result may exhibit demanding behavior in response. Often, attention seeking is cited as a cause of problematic behavior. This raises the question of why the youngster needs such an attention-seeking behavior. Some children may be unable of completing a given task and consequently frustrated or bored. However, an attention-seeking behavior can also be a taught behavior that has historically proven effective in ensuring that youngsters obtain their desires. For some youngsters, even negative attention can be motivating, especially if they perceive that this is the only attention they receive. There is a correlation between socioeconomic disadvantage and the prevalence of disruptive behavior. Inadequate social and linguistic development coupled with ineffective parenting may result in a child exhibiting problematic behavior. This behavior may be a tactic for survival in the child's environment. Lastly, problematic behavior may have a medical basis, such as discomfort, disease, or sensory issues. Certain forms of demanding behavior are related with particular illnesses and disabilities, such as recurrent and involuntary body movements, tics, and uncontrollable voice noises, Tourette syndrome, or ritualistic or obsessive behavior, autistic spectrum disorders. Ineffective classroom management is a significant contributor to disruptive behavior, which refers to the recurrent and pervasive acts of some students that interfere with teachers' teaching and students' learning. In schools, disruptive classroom behavior is a significant impediment to learning, a risk factor for students' academic progress, and a huge source of job-related stress for teachers. Over the past 2 decades, children's actions have altered drastically, providing a significant behavioral challenge for educators. The purpose of the teacher's classroom management is to instill discipline and motivation in the students and to promote their engagement in the learning process. Ineffective classroom management is a significant contributor to disruptive behavior, which refers to the recurrent and pervasive acts of some students that interfere with teachers' teaching and students' learning. In schools, disruptive classroom behavior is a significant impediment to learning, a risk factor for students' academic progress, and a huge source of job-related stress for teachers. Over the past 2 decades, children's actions have altered drastically, providing a significant behavioral challenge for educators. The purpose of the teacher's classroom management is to instill discipline and motivation in the students and to promote their engagement in the learning process. What is classroom management? It's the actions teachers take to create an environment that supports and facilitates both academic and social-emotional learning. This concept focuses on the teacher's duty and ties the usage of classroom management tactics to several student learning objectives. Effective classroom management, according to this definition, appears to focus on preventive rather than reactive classroom management techniques. Teachers use the term classroom management to describe how they maintain a problem-free learning environment despite the presence of disruptive students' behavior. It refers to the prevention of behaviors that are among the most difficult aspects of teaching at all academic levels. Effective teaching and learning cannot occur in classrooms that are poorly managed. Effective classroom management techniques encourage and support effective teaching and learning. Generally speaking, good classroom management is built on the notion of maintaining a healthy classroom environment that includes effective teacher-student connections. There are 5 action categories that a school teacher can use for classroom management. The first one refers to developing caring, supporting relationships with and among students. Second, the teacher should organize and implement instruction in ways that optimizes students' access to learning. The teacher should encourage students' engagement in academic tasks. 4. Teachers should promote the development of students' social skills and self-regulation. And lastly, they should use appropriate interventions to assist students with behavior problems. The daily practice of schooling has evolved quickly. It is increasingly characterized by student-centered as opposed to teacher-centered methods to learning, with an emphasis on metacognitive abilities such as self-regulated learning strategies and cooperative learning. In addition, schools are increasingly using technologies such as interactive whiteboards, tablets, and computers. The expectations imposed on teachers' classroom management skills, such as rules and procedures to support cooperative learning, have likely been significantly impacted by these changes. To achieve classroom management, these acts must follow a systematic course, from activities to develop teacher-student connections to rules to manage student behavior. These are the tools that teachers can use to assist create such an atmosphere. These techniques follow classroom interventions that may include 1. Behavior-focused interventions by teachers. The intervention focuses on enhancing teachers' classroom management, such as maintaining order, providing rules and procedures, and disciplinary interventions, and consequently on altering their behavior. This category encompasses both preventative and reactive measures. 2. Interventions centered on the relationships between teachers and students. The intervention focuses on enhancing teacher-student connections, teacher-student interactions, and consequently on fostering caring, supportive relationships. In this area, only preventive actions are covered. This kind represents the supportive teacher-student relationship. Interventions concentrating solely on relationships between students as opposed to the teacher-student relationships are not included here. 3. Behavior-focused therapies for students. The aim of the intervention is on enhancing student conduct, for instance, through group incentives or by fostering more self-control among all pupils. This category encompasses both preventative and reactive measures. This kind represents the self-regulation of students, referring to students' accountability for their own behavior. 4. Interventions centered on the social and emotional development of students. The intervention focuses on promoting the social emotional development of students, such as increasing their sentiments of empathy for other children. This category encompasses both preventative and reactive measures. This category represents the social skills of kids. Clearly, certain classroom management programs may fall into more than one of these categories. They are not mutually exclusive. In the following pages, we will see and discuss evidence-based classroom management strategies. Number 1 is all about prevention strategies, which include incorporate choice, increase environmental predictability, scheduled not contingent attention, pre-correction, and high probability request sequences. Incorporate choice. Choices serve to establish a sense of independence, control, and accomplishment. However, there may be times in the classroom where students feel as though their ability to have some control over their day is hindered, leading to occurrences of challenging behavior. Offering students choices throughout the school day has been shown to be an effective and relatively easy to implement antecedent strategy to prevent problem behavior, increase time on task, enhance social behavior, encourage intrinsic motivation, and help develop self-regulation skills. Two ways are suggested to teachers to offer students choice throughout the school day. First, teachers can offer a choice of task or sequence of tasks. In both instances, students complete required tasks just in an order of their choosing. Second, teachers can give students a choice of consequence. When offering choice of consequence, students select a preferable consequence prior to assigning the task. For example, students may select iPad time as consequences of completing their math worksheets. Reflecting on the required tasks, the sequence of tasks and the consequences can help teachers increase their awareness on ways to incorporate offering choice. Incorporating choice can be implemented effectively at the whole class, small group, and individual level, leaving teachers with many opportunities to use the strategy. The choice being given does not always need to be large-scaled. It can be as simple as, would you like to work at your desk or at the table, when allowing small groups to decide where to work on a project, or saying, do you want to use the blue or green marker? To a student who is about to draw the setting from a story that was read. Whether designing lesson plans, setting up the class schedule for the day, or planning activities, teachers should reflect on and plan ways to incorporate choice. Increase environmental predictability. When students are able to predict the events within the school day, they are more likely to be engaged and compliant and less likely to demonstrate challenging behavior. One way to promote a predictable environment is to incorporate visual activity schedules. Visual activity schedules are a set of pictures, images, or drawings that convey a specific sequence of events of activities. This evidence-based strategy provides students with a sense of trust and security through being able to predict or know the events that are going to occur immediately and in the near future. This type of schedule tends to be more effective than other directives because it is more concrete and representation and easily stored in a student's memory. It can be used at the individual, small group, and class-wide level. It is important for students to be able to understand and manipulate the schedule in order for the schedule to be most effective. A second way to increase environmental predictability is to incorporate visual boundaries in the classroom. This can be done through floor tape, desk tape, and the arrangement of classroom furniture. Boundaries eliminate confusion and lets the student know what is expected in each specific area of the classroom. Another tool that can help make the environment more predictable is a visual timer. A visual timer is a clock that can be manipulated by a teacher so that students are visually able to see time decreasing. The clock informs students of how much time is left before the next activity or task starts, eliminating the anticipation of when the next transition will occur. Visual timers are available in multiple sizes, accessed through free websites such as Visual Timer, Visual Clock, Classroom Countdown Timer, or through purchased applications for phones and computers. It is a good practice for teachers to consistently examine their classrooms for ways that can make the flow, routine, and structure more concrete and understandable for all students. Scheduled non-contingent attention. A mounting body of literature has shown that social attention is one of the most frequent and influential variables on behavior in the classroom. One evidence-based antecedent strategy that has been shown to decrease challenging behavior maintained by attention is non-contingent attention, a type of non-contingent reinforcement When delivering non-contingent attention, a teacher delivers attention to the student at scheduled times during the school day, independent of the challenging behavior. One contributing aspect that makes non-contingent attention effective is that frequent access to non-contingent attention reduces the motivation or desire to engage in challenging behavior to obtain attention. In other words, if a student is satiated with attention, his or her need to engage in problem behavior to get attention is minimized. Teachers should determine a schedule in which non-contingent attention is delivered often initially. Then, as the behavior improves, the schedule of attention should be modified. The rate of scheduled attention is dependent upon the rate at which the student engages in the problem behavior. When the student engages in the target problem behavior, teachers should redirect the student using minimal attention. The scheduled attention can be delivered by the teacher or a paraeducator and can come in many forms. For example, the teacher can deliver a positive comment, give a pat on the back, allow the student to share a story, take a brief walk with the student, or have lunch together. It is important that the scheduled attention is a positive interaction and that it is always delivered non-contingent in the student behavior. Pre-correction. Often, students who engage in challenging behavior tend to develop predictable behavior patterns. Once this pattern is identified, teachers can use a strategy known as pre-correction to help prevent the pattern from occurring. Pre-correction is a systematic, methodical, low-intensity, evidence-based practice in which a teacher delivers a reminder of appropriate behavior before the student has an opportunity to engage in the problem behavior pattern. This strategy encourages predictability with upcoming events while also teaching students the expected behavior for the targeted situation. Pre-correction can be used across all tiers within aid in the behavior management of both students with or without disabilities and requires minimal teacher training to do so. Teachers who implement the pre-correction strategy have reported a decrease in both the amount of time needed to redirection and the frequency of disruptive behaviors in the classroom. When delivering a pre-correction, teachers adhere to a sequence of steps. First, teachers should identify the context in which the behavior is to occur and then identify the desired behavior. Teachers must also prepare the environment to support the expected behavior before providing an opportunity for the student to rehearse the target behavior. During rehearsal of the behavior, teachers should provide students with prompts, feedback, and meaningful reinforcement. Last, a plan for progress monitoring and data collection should be implemented in order to ensure the pre-correction is improving student behavior. For example, if a teacher wanted to use pre-correction for walking down the hallway with students' hands at their sides, she could detail the expected behavior and explain where to engage in this behavior prior to entering the hallway. Then the teacher can implement any environmental modifications as needed, such as placement of the paraeducator, what side of the hallway to walk on, use of a hand signal as a reminder to students. Students would then be given an opportunity to practice walking in the hallway with their hands at their side, while the teacher provides prompts as needed and both positive reinforcement and corrective feedback accordingly. Last, the teacher would record student performance using a predetermined data collection method. Instructional strategies, opportunities to respond. One of the most important aspects to classroom management is delivering effective instruction. One evidence-based strategy that can be easily embedded in any lesson is opportunities to respond. It is based on the understanding that one of the most effective ways to reduce behavior challenges in the classroom is to ensure students are participating fully in the given task. It increases the rate at which students are academically engaged in lessons because it gives all students an opportunity to respond, often at the same time. Its nature also encourages teachers to maintain a moderately brisk pace during instruction, which not only builds behavioral momentum, but also helps create an environment with minimal off-task behavior. It is easily implemented and has 3 formats that teachers can use: A. Choral responding, B. Individual, and C. Mixed. Within the opportunities to respond, a teacher presents a stimulus, usually in the form of a question or prompt. The student responds, and the teacher delivers. Currently, research recommends an optimal rate of 3.5 opportunities to respond per minute during instruction. Therefore, teachers should prepare questions, prompts, and other stimuli prior to the start of each lesson to ensure the optimal rate can be obtained. Some prompts may require a longer response, so planning is encouraged. Teachers should also consider the content and difficulty level of the skill being taught, the number of response prompts needed, the modality of student responses such as whole class, individual, verbal, and written, and the feedback options for student responses. An example of incorporating opportunities to respond at the elementary level could occur when reviewing what happened in a story during reading. The teacher could individually call on students who raise their hands to verbally respond to a question, and she could also ask the students to give a thumbs up to respond to another question. She could also place students in small groups and give them the opportunity to respond using a small whiteboard to write down their answers to questions about the plot. At the secondary level, students can write down answers to writing prompts that are provided in analyzing battles that occurred during a specific time of history. The students would have individual opportunities to respond by writing out their responses. Next, the teacher could ask for a volunteer to share what he or she can recall about the events that occurred during a particular battle. Giving the whole class the opportunity to respond, he could use response cards for all students to answer a few questions. Small groups could also create and carry out a role play of the key figures of the battle in class. When teachers frequently use opportunities to respond during instruction, students tend to have higher rates of correct responses, be more engaged in the content, demonstrate less disruptive behavior, and receive more positive feedback from the teachers. Reinforcement strategies. Reinforcement strategies focus on positive and negative reinforcement, behavior, specific praise, mystery motivator, and good behavior game. They will be analyzed as followed. Positive and negative reinforcement. One evidence-based practice that has been shown to decrease challenging behavior, improve academic performance, and create a stable learning environment in the classroom is reinforcement. Although reinforcement tends to be referred to as an easy-to-implement strategy, research has continuously shown that it's not used as frequently as needed. There are 2 types of reinforcement, positive and negative. Positive reinforcement is delivering a pleasing stimulus, such as item, gesture, praise, activity, upon the completion of a desired behavior in order to increase the likelihood of the behavior occurring again in the future. Positive reinforcement can be a teacher delivering an encouraging verbal statement after a student complies with adult directives or giving the student a tangible. Alternatively, negative reinforcement is the removal of an aversive stimulus in response to a positive behavior in order to encourage the behavior to occur in the future. Negative reinforcement is used to increase desired behavior by removing or reducing something the student deems aversive, such as homework or specific task assignment during the day. It can occur when a teacher removes homework for one evening after a student had great participation in class, or telling a student he or she does not need to complete a classroom responsibility, such as cleaning the whiteboard, because of excellent quiet independent reading earlier in the day. In order to implement negative reinforcement, the teacher must ensure he or she is aware of the activities, tasks, or items the student does not enjoy or like to complete. In order to ensure reinforcement is implemented with the greatest level of fidelity, teachers should provide reinforcement frequently. This is especially important when the student is in the skill acquisition phase of learning a new skill, or if it is a new behavior the teacher is trying to increase. The teacher should also deliver the reinforcement immediately after the student engages in the desirable behavior, so the student directly links the behavior to the reinforcement. Lastly, reinforcement should be individualized and based on student preference and interest. One item or activity may not have the same reinforcing value for all students. Teachers should seek to learn what items and experiences are reinforcing to the student through conversation, interest surveys, preference assessments, discussions with the student's guardians, informal classroom observations. Behavior-specific praise. One way a teacher can extend the use of positive reinforcement is to implement behavior-specific praise. It is an evidence-based strategy in which the teacher delivers detailed praise statements that explicitly describe the positive behavior demonstrated by the student. By doing this, teachers are not only encouraging the student, but also letting the student know exactly what was done correctly. For example, instead of saying "good job," a teacher may say "good job, waiting for your turn in line." Or instead of saying "nice work," a teacher may say "I really like how you are taking turns with your partner and completing the lab report." It has been shown to increase positive academic and social behavior while decreasing challenging behavior. Specifically, it has shown to increase on-task behavior. It has shown to increase on-task behavior, compliance, task completion, and even correct academic responses in class. It is most effective when the statements are specific, contingent upon student behavior and delivered frequently. It is recommended that teachers strive to include 6 behavior-specific praise statements during each 15-minute segment of class time in a large group setting, while maintaining a 4.1 ratio of behavior-specific praise comments to reprimands or redirection cues. In order to improve fidelity when using behavior-specific praise, comments to reprimands or redirection cues, teachers are encouraged to set a goal and track their frequency. Moving a coin from one pocket to the other, keeping a tally, using a clicker, or using a behavior measuring app are all ways teachers can track their behavior-specific praise use. Incorporating reminders within their lesson plan or near the instructional area have also been shown to help teachers implement it more frequently. Setting reminders and creating a goal can keep and help teachers to monitor their use to ensure they are using it as it is intended to be implemented. Mystery Motivator. Mystery Motivator involves a game-like element in order to motivate and encourage the student by using the preferences of the students. When using it, it is usually the consequence itself that comes unnamed prior to the task demanded, but the teacher signals to the student that something positive will happen if behavior changes in the desired direction. It adds an element of intrigue to other reinforcement contingencies. It is essential that teachers identify the preferences of their students so they can plan meaningful and effective opportunities for reinforcement. Research suggests in about half of instances, teachers unknowingly select items to use as reinforcement that actually do not hold any reinforcing value to students. Once effective consequences are determined, these motivators themselves can be placed in an envelope or a box with a question mark on it, symbolizing the mystery motivator. Another way to display the consequences or actual motivators is to write them down on slips of paper in a jar that can be pulled out when earned. The mystery motivator strategy was designed to increase the proficiency of academic and behavioral task demands by providing a mystery reinforcement using a randomized schedule. It is important for the teacher to remind the students of desired behaviors prior to the task being given. Then, if the student completes the task as intended, the mystery motivator is awarded. Examples of mystery motivators could be having a class party, taking a break to watch videos that are online, or enjoying a class treat. If using the mystery motivator as a whole class, a preference inventory of the class as a whole may be helpful to determine what the class wanted to work toward when utilizing this strategy. Good behavior game. The good behavior game is a classroom team-based behavior management strategy that reinforces students for engaging in on-task behaviors during instructional lessons. It is an evidence-based strategy that has been significantly effective at reducing challenging behavior in the classroom across varying ages, abilities, and diverse settings. Specifically, the good behavior game has been shown to decrease teachers' use of negative remarks when managing behavior, increase their use of praise statements, and improve student on-task behavior. The good behavior game actively uses teachers to provide reinforcement and corrective feedback in the moment, and it relies on a group contingency approach to managing behavior. While it can be played in a variety of ways given its long history, two such variations from recent years are discussed. These variations are slightly different from the way it was traditionally implemented, but have also maintained a strong evidence base. Research suggests that teachers can implement it by completing the following steps. First, the teacher will place the students in heterogenic teams of 4 to 5 members. Second, the teacher explicitly details the game and the expectations to the students. For example, students will focus on the expectations the lessons and maintain attention when others are speaking. The teacher works collaboratively with the students when selecting the targeted behaviors to focus on during the game, selecting the targeted behaviors or focus on during the game in order to promote excitement and compliance with the game. Once the students get an opportunity to practice the game a few times, the teacher will schedule portions of the school to play the game. During the game, the teacher encourages prosocial and on-task behavior by praising students who follow predefined game rules. Each team receives a number of cards at the start of the game. Then the teacher removes one of the team's cards when a team member violates one of the predefined rules. Once a card is removed, the teacher refrains from giving further attention to the disruptive behavior, for example, talks out of turn. In addition to receiving reinforcement at the end of each game, teams can also be rewarded at the end of the week and month by means of social rewards, small material rewards, and special activities such as chance to share a favorite song with the class, being able to see anywhere during lunch if there is assigned seating, and free admission to a school sporting event. Another variation of the good behavior game does not involve the use of team cards, but rather the class is divided into 2 teams and a point is given to a team for inappropriate behavior displayed by one of the members. These points are tracked on the board, and the team with the fewest number of points on the board at the end of the game each day wins a group reward. In some games, if both teams keep their points below a pre-set level, both teams are able to earn a reward. In both variations of the good behavior game, there is a clear or distinct start and stop of the game, and playing does not require substantial resources or preparation. Now, let's discuss a little bit about the whole school approach, which is nothing more than the positive behavior school policy development. Many of the aforementioned tactics have been implemented by schools as part of a comprehensive strategy to positive behavior promotion. In general, schools say that this method of promoting positive behavior has been more effective. Several sectors have been identified as having the most to gain from a whole school strategy. A shared school ethos that emphasizes care, respect, and responsibility can be both the cause and the effect of a focus on a positive behavior. Manifestations of this ethos include school assemblies where achievement is acknowledged, a welcoming attitude towards parents, the pairing of younger pupils or those with special education needs with older students, the sharing of responsibility with students, and the use of children's first names. Such an approach must be embraced by the entire school community, including teachers, students, parents, and the board of directors. The school's approach must also be appropriate for the setting in which it works, including considerations relating to the larger community. The role of parents in a strategy for encouraging positive behavior is crucial. It has been also discovered that parental involvement in recognizing positive behavior through the use of a comment in the homework notebook or by providing reports to parents is quite beneficial. According to research, youngsters view a good letter home as the finest reward and a bad note home as the worst punishment. A whole school approach to promoting excellent behavior enables staff members to provide mutual support. Collaboration involves employees in talks concerning student behavior without the risk of individuals feeling as though their classroom management skills are being questioned. Support from staff has also been highlighted as one of the most important components in properly managing occurrences involving problematic behavior. In schools with unique issues, the staff may establish a mechanism for calling another member of staff to assist by removing a student or the entire class if necessary to diffuse a tense situation. In dealing with behavior in public areas, such as corridors, gathering areas, and the yard, a sense of common purpose in the promotion of positive behavior is quite beneficial. A cohesive approach to behavior that is more readily accepted by children results from a shared understanding of what constitutes acceptable behavior in these spaces, a willingness on the part of all staff members to interact with all children, and the facilitation of other staff members' involvement in situations. Children will challenge the limitations of every system. Therefore, it is crucial that a school's induction policy ensures that new or substitute teachers have a thorough awareness of protocols pertaining to student conduct. Hundreds of books, research papers, and official documents have addressed the problem of managing student behavior in schools. The basis of the most would Hundreds of books, research papers, and official documents have addressed the problem of managing student behavior in schools. The basis of the most of what has been stated is common sense. Rather than reiterating the content of that literature, this presentation has aimed to establish key concepts that foster a learning classroom in which students at risk of engaging in inappropriate behavior can flourish. it will become evident that much of this relates to our adopting a proactive approach to behavior, in which settings are created that reduce the chance of the emergence of long-term harmful behaviors by encouraging successful engagement with learning. Furthermore, the existence of such settings will considerably buffer you and other students from the widespread harmful effects of misbehavior. Placed in the context of both whole school procedures for promoting good behavior and the clearly demonstrated connection between the curriculum and social learning, they provide chances for a more constructive interaction with misbehaving kids.